When I'm in places like St Monans, I sigh quite a lot, especially on a lovely day like this, because it's just such a beautiful place. But not just St Monans, all of these little villages all along the coast in Fife's East Neuk, they're all just stunning, and you could spend a long time exploring every nook and cranny of them. I'm on the Fife Coastal Path again. I've done a number of videos dealing with various sections, mostly quite small, on the Fife Coastal Path. And today I'm going to walk from here, which is St Monans, through Elie and onto Lower Largo. It's around 9 miles. So, you know, walking, it's going to take you about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, depending on how long you dilly-dally. And I have to say that you'll do a lot of dilly-dallying, especially in places like Elie, which are just as stunningly beautiful as St Monans. So, let's go. There are lots of interesting rock formations on the shore along a fair stretch of this part of Fife. They're certainly more than interesting if you find yourself needing a pee, as I think I may have touched on before on a previous video. When you look at a map of this part of the East Neuk of Fife, between St Monans and Lower Largo, which is today's walk. In fact, if you look at an old map, and I might be able to conjure up one right now, I think this one, if I've managed to slot it in, dates to the mid-19th century. You can see St Monans on the far right, Lower Largo on the far left, Elie and Earlsferry somewhere in the middle, and you can see the rugged coastline. But what you can also see is the railway line, and there used to be a railway line all along the coast. You know, you could I think got a train from Edinburgh to St Andrews that would have followed the coastline, passing through places like Lower Largo and what have you. And like so many railway lines in Scotland, it was removed in the 1960s. There is a magnificent structural remnant of it in Lower Largo, which we'll see towards the end of the video. But, you know, it's just such a sad thing that we have lost. I mean, can you imagine being on a train that would be kind of hugging the coast here? I mean, it would just have been the most scenic thing imaginable. And I sometimes think that when they removed the railway from this part of Fife, they perhaps hoped that the East Neuk would have fallen off the edge of Scotland like an old carbuncle and been forgotten about. But how could you forget a place so stunningly beautiful? presume that's one of the little bridges that used to carry the railway line. Lovely little structure. And if that's the case, and I strongly suspect it is, then the railway line must have literally been at the water's edge. What a journey that would have been, you know. I sometimes think that Fife's a little cut off from the rest of Scotland ever since it lost the railway. There is a bus service, you know, there's umpteen bus services, and I'm sure it's a very good bus service, but I feel that this is one place in the whole country that really merits having the railway reintroduced. Of course, perhaps there's an argument for making the East Neuk of Fife a difficult place to get to. There are things out there. I've heard some noises just on rocks a little off the shore. It was the noises of things. So we better not hang about here for too long, in case whatever it is that made the noise comes ashore and eats us. Actually, probably seals. If it's not seals, then I better actually put a bit of a sprint on. But seals, I couldn't see them, but yeah, that kind of noise that a seal makes when it's sunbathing. I passed an elderly couple there, and they were looking at a tree. This is what happens when you get old, you become fascinated with trees. But just finally remember, there's the Fife Coastal Path sign. Anyway, yeah, so as I passed them by, the woman said, "Have you got binoculars?" I mean, you know what? I come from Partick. We don't have binoculars in Partick. She said, "I just wondered if you knew what sort of bird that was." And I paused for a moment and said, "It's a wee bird." Because I'm from Glasgow and the birds are either wee or big, which makes classification far easier. You've no idea how beautiful this is. I'm just one very small step away from running and skipping like a lamb. There's a sign there telling me that this is an eroded slope. There was a choice just down there between the high tide route and the low tide route. It looked to me as if the tide was coming in, and it looked kind of rocky a bit further on. So I've opted for the high. I've opted for the high tide route, which is the route's high. Yeah. But you know, now I'm on an eroded path. There's all these hazards, tides and eroded stuff. And apparently I missed a pod of dolphins or something. I passed a guy who informed me that I'd missed a pod of dolphins or a pod of something or other. You know, I mean, I can't be watching everything all at the same time. I mean, if the pod of dolphins had been in the path here, I might have chanced upon them and we could have exchanged pleasantries, as you do when you come upon a pod of dolphins on a path. But you know, they're obviously out at sea, and I can't, I've got to watch where I'm putting my feet, especially when I'm on an eroded path. There's a part of me is thinking I should maybe have gone the low level, or the high tide route, which is low level. Sorry, the low tide. Hold on, I'm getting confused with my tides here. It's just, this is a little bit scary. It's just, the path passes quite close to the edge of a huge cliff. Yeah, the low route would have been for low tide. That's right, and the high route is for high tide. In fact, I think I was confused further earlier on there. The lows go with the low and the highs go with the high. That's it. Correct it. I mean, you know, I forever talking about the beauty of the Fife East Neuk, and I mean, just look at this, you know. How could you not love this? Even if you didn't know your lows from your highs. Well, I think I'm now actually on what used to be that railway line. Just before hitting this bit, there was just a lot of sand dunes, and to be honest, it was a bit of a nightmare. Up and then down, and it was just a hard slog, and there's nothing enjoyable about it at all. As I was saying to somebody I passed there, I've seen enough sand to last me a lifetime. I don't want to see any more sand. So let's just pretend we're on a train. I sometimes think, you know, I mean, if you're on a train, you would get wonderful views out the window towards the coast. And it's the same with double-decker buses. If you sit up top at the front, you get wonderful views. And I've often thought I would quite like to have, I don't know if you remember, and I don't know if you still get them, but it used to get children's sort of steering wheels, you might say. It was like a plastic steering wheel with a plastic gear lever. And it all kind of had a big sucker that you could stick it onto any surface. And I think it also had a horn. You could press the horn and it would make a horn noise. And I've often thought I would quite like one of them, so that when I'm sitting upstairs on a bus at the front with all the great views, I could stick my plastic steering wheel onto the bit of the bus in front of me and pretend I was driving. I suspect it wouldn't be looked on well by other travellers. A grown man with a plastic steering wheel. And every now and then I could toot my little horn. Well, that's me in Lower Largo. That's the large structure I was referring to earlier on that used to carry the railway line. The structure's left, but the railway line has gone. I thoroughly enjoyed the walk, apart from all the sand. Very hard to get away from that sand, to be honest. And I think if I was to end at any one point, it would be I would like to see the railway reintroduced to the East Neuk of Fife. I'm Eddie Burns. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again.